It began as a wonderful family holiday, enjoying the pristine beauty of Fraser Island off the Queensland coast of Australia, and quickly turned into a nightmare of unknown proportions.
Hayley was straight into the water. We had a little paddle up to the knees and splashed around. It was crystal clear, the water. Beautiful hot day.
But 20 minutes later, the dangers that lurk in the idyllic conditions made their presence known.
Hayley came running up the beach, holding her arm, screaming, saying, "I've been stung, Mummy, I've been stung." And then started going quite crimsony red. She says, "I can't breathe, Mummy," and well then, I just panicked.
Small in size, but with a massive punch of pain, Hayley had encountered one of the most feared animals of Australia's tropical waters.
I often refer to them as designed by the devil. They're an animal that you never see, you get nailed, and you don't know about it until 20 minutes down the track, and then your whole world goes to hell in a bathtub. It's just an awesomely, badly designed animal from a human perspective.
While Julie was trying to keep the situation calm, Hayley's father Matt was contacting emergency services, desperately trying to get help for his daughter. 40 minutes later, what seemed like an eternity, the rescue chopper carefully lowered onto the beach.
They then mentioned the word IRUKANDJI, and I mean, I'd never heard of what an IRUKANDJI was.
Extremely venomous, the IRUKANDJI was identified by Jack Barnes in 1964. In his experiment to accurately classify this animal, he allowed the tiny jellyfish to sting himself as well as his son and a local lifesaver. All three ended up in hospital. To the uninitiated, the spell of the IRUKANDJI is a sensation of unexpected magnitude. When you're stung by an IRUKANDJI, it's not that the animal is hunting you. It is an accident. If it comes into contact with you as a defense mechanism, it will sting you. To the initiated, knowing you've been stung is the beginning of hell.
I know exactly what's going to happen. I've been there 11 times. I know exactly what's going to happen. It's a really interesting syndrome because what happens when you're first stung, it's a mild sting, and you'll see it. People get stung on the arm and it'll be, "Oh yeah, something stung me," and that's about the extent of it.
I think we need to go, Teresa. Been stung across the bottom of the lip.
Alright.
Sea animal's about 2 or 3 metres down, so...
Yeah, I saw it too.
We're gonna get out of here, I think. Need some vinegar. You want to throw me that?
But that's just the start. About 15 to 20 minutes later, the trouble begins. Everything goes wrong. Symptoms include severe cramping, vomiting, nausea, lower back pain. Your entire body is affected. There is no escape.
And this feeling of impending doom, that something is seriously going to go wrong. Oh dear. So that comes in and you get that under control, and all of a sudden it ramps up a level. And so you think, okay, it can't get any worse. And then it ramps up yet another level. I've described it like I've often had an elephant sitting on the chest. So you're sitting in a hospital bed with some emergency physicians giving you large doses of opiates, things like morphine, pethidine, things of that nature. It's just starting to take the edge off it, and all of a sudden it goes up a level. I get severe pins and needles through the joints of my knees, my ankles, my elbows, my wrists. You can't get comfortable. My last trip, I was still throwing up 18 hours down the track. If someone had given me a gun, I was out of there. I just wanted off the planet.
Associate Professor Jamie Seymour has spent many years at the forefront of research in marine biology. He knows what to expect. For Hayley and her family, it was an incredibly mystifying experience. By the time Hayley reached Harvey Bay Hospital, her heart was beating twice the normal pace. Her hands and toes were blue. Her lips were blue, her face still crimson, her eyes bloodshot. Delirious, she was sweating profusely against the increasing pain.
I thought I was like gonna die because I tried to keep my eyes open, but I was sleepy. Every time she tried to move me, one of my body parts, I felt pain.
If you swim anywhere in the tropical waters of Australia, the east coast, the west coast, across the top of the country, you risk being stung by an IRUKANDJI. They are so small, you won't even see it coming.
It was surreal in the fact that you can't believe this has happened. You don't know how it's happened. It's not a dream, it's a nightmare. When this took us to one side, it brought everything to a standstill there. We thought we could possibly lose Hayley. I just thought, is she having a heart attack here? Because the reaction of that is as if, to me, it felt like these are the last breaths she's going to take.
If you look at Irukandji, they fall into what's referred to as the little box jellyfish. So a big animal is probably about the size of your thumbnail. Distinctly different from big box jellyfish, they've only got one tentacle off the corner of the body or the bill. Now those tentacles certainly can be upwards of 3/4 of a metre long, but they're about the thickness of your hair. So you think of this animal that's about the size of your thumbnail, completely transparent, with 4 tentacles that are about that long, that are as thin as your hair that you can't see. They have stinging organelles on the tentacles, but they also have it on the bell or the body of the animal. So any contact at all with this animal is going to result in you being stung, and any sting from this animal at all is going to result in you being at hospital.
After 3 days of treatment, Julie and Matt waiting anxiously, agonizing over the outcome. A breakthrough.
I thought her hair's dry. And it's strange, it was the first sign that I thought, she's not sweating. And I thought, we're on the road to recovery here. She survived it, yeah.
There's only been 2 deaths that we know of from Irukandji syndrome, and they've both occurred in Australia.
The overwhelming characteristic for victims is intense pain throughout the body, and there's very little that can be done to ease the suffering. However, about 10 to 15% of people will develop cardiac problems, so going to the hospital is vital. Research shows that it doesn't seem to matter if it's a child or an adult that's stung. It's a venom load from the jellyfish that causes the problems.
The syndrome, it's interesting, can range from simply feeling unwell through to death, and anything in between. The biggest problem with trying to treat these people is we're never too sure where you're going to be on that spectrum. And we've had 2 people in the water at the same time stung by the same jellyfish. One person really had a little bit of pain and was no problems at all. The other person spent 4 days in intensive care.
The Irukandji is not an animal to be taken lightly. Whilst it's not going to attack you, if you get in its way, your pain threshold will blow every limit. It's transparent, the size of your thumbnail, and dangerous. Australian beaches are signposted with warnings for good reason.
Whatever beach that has jellyfish I won't swim in.